Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Hello all, and what is going on, and how y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I'm back here for some more baseball news. As, of course, we have a lot of baseball topics to cover, so, of course, I have them spread out among 4 videos, as I normally do, since I do just groups at once. And this time, usually I would include the transactions. But since there was a lot we got discussed from the trade deadline, I made this one a rare separate video. So we're going to talk about 7 releases. Now, there were a few others that were released when I was listing which players I wanted to talk about. Ones that I feel I could talk about at least. But some of them did sign new contracts. So those will be included in the transactions video. These are 7 guys that within the past month were released and have not yet signed with a new team. So we're going to roll into those and get by those good. So the first one was former Oriole Jonathan Schoop, who was released back on July 14th from the Detroit Tigers. This was expected. Schoop has struggled since the start of 2022, hitting just .204. He's never likely, though, to attract any team interest for a trade for the trade deadline. Of course, though, he's making $7.5 million this season, and a little more than $3 million of which is still to be paid out, which no club is going to assume via a waiver claim, as he did, of course, also clear waivers. He's only 31 though, so hopefully he still will have a shot to find another team to revive himself. The Tigers are not really in the best position right now, unfortunately, contending. They're rebuilding, although some of the veterans they brought in haven't really been the best. Of course, this is their last year with Miguel Cabrera as well. Schoop, though, who's a former All-Star, rated as a Gold Glove caliber second baseman a season ago. Again, his offense has definitely dwindled down. He's a career .254 hitter through parts of 11 big league seasons. Of course, his best years were, of course, with the Orioles. It wasn't with the Brewers, I think, in a trade that just recently. But, again, he may be limited to more minor league opportunities. If he cracks the big league roster again this season, which is very unlikely, he will... that club would have to pay him the prorated amount of the $720,000 league minimum for however long he's in the majors. And of course, they'll remain on Detroit. Those will remain on the hook for the rest of his contract. Again, he's only 31 years old. Maybe, and this is really the first time that he's had an opportunity where he's flubbed. So maybe he just needs a change of scenery. That could be the case. I don't know about this guy though. The next one is Rougned Odor, who was released on July 24th by the San Diego Padres. He was designated for assignment. He had signed a minor league deal with the club this past offseason. He made the big league roster, and he spent over 3 months as a part-time role, taking about 157 trips to the plate in 59 games. He essentially flipped his previous profile of a low-walk, high-power guy. But then he had just 4 home runs, and despite once being a 30-homer hitter, he's not really that big of a threat. With a .210 batting average as well. He, of course, though, has 178 career home runs, but he's only a career .230 hitter. He has bounced a lot more defensively over the years, and hopefully, again, will get another opportunity. He's only 29 years old. However, I do feel like Odor has already had like unlike Schoop like has had a good track record. This is like the first time he really didn't capitalize. Odor though, I feel like he's bounced around enough already. He might be someone that might not get another opportunity with Major League Baseball. I could see him maybe going to a Mexican. Well, I'm not sure what nationality he is, but I could see him going to Japan, a Mexican league, or I think I could see him trying a different route. They could still sign him again. He has, he's a very versatile fielder, both infield and outfield. He still has some power, but again, with how many opportunities he's had already, it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't get another major league opportunity. But speaking of somebody who waited for major league opportunities, this one was a little sad to me. So the Pirates, on July 24th, also released someone. They released infielder Drew Maggi. Now, what's special about Drew Maggi is that he waited a long time to make his major league debut. At 33 years old earlier this season, he did make his major league debut. Unfortunately, though, the Pirates released him not long after that. See how the Pirates fans, though, are the best in the world, and they give the Pirates organization, and he is not done yet. He got 2 hits, though, in 6 plate appearances. He was a 15th round pick for the Pirates back in 2010. And he bounced around to 5 other teams' farm systems from 2015 to 2022 before returning to the Pirates organization last August in a minor league trade with the Phillies. And of course, his minor league time this season has been with Double-A. And then he moved to the development list on the 14th, hinted that Maggi's time with the Pirates is near an end. And then, of course, basically with the young prospects, Maggi was like the odd man out. But he has a strong reputation and a strong clubhouse leader. He might draw some interest from other teams looking to add some veteran leadership in the minor league systems. Even, of course, maybe eventually getting some coaching or managerial roles in a minor league system. He claims he ain't done yet hanging up the glove. But, a nice little story to see that Maggi did eventually get his opportunity in the big leagues. I mean, he was someone who, I guess, was destined to be like a minor leaguer. But, he obviously does have a good reputation. So I do wish him the best of luck. He probably, will be getting some managerial roles for the minor leagues. But, again, it'll be great. He definitely seems like a guy who would be worthy of showing some great leadership. And a guy who shows a lot of patience and can be a great example. Even at 33 years old and still being in Double-A, he may still get a chance to play in the big league roster. You may not be a full-time major leaguer on the main roster, but you made a statement that, you stuck with it and you got your shot. And, of course, I thought he did fine when he capitalizes the handful of games he played in the majors. But, yeah, Drew Maggi, is a free agent. Next one is another former Pirate. Corey Dickerson was released from the Washington Nationals when he cleared waivers on August the 4th. Dickerson is now 34 years old. He missed 6 weeks with a calf strain. And in 52 games, he just hit .250 with a pair of home runs. And his on-base and slugging percentage were the lowest of his career. Of course, they definitely decided to move on. And as the Nationals continue to be a rebuilding team. The Nationals will remain on the hook, though, for the remainder of Dickerson's salary. Again, he's also probably limited to just minor league offers for now. If another club would call him to the majors at any point this season, he would again just like what's his face? Oh, Jonathan Schoop. They would be required to pay the minimum of $720,000, which we subtracted also from the Nationals' payments. Dickerson, who, of course, I think he definitely hit his peak with the Reyes. He came to the Pirates. He was kind of more so the replacement for Andrew McCutchen, which that was a good gamble. Had a nice full season with the Pirates, and he even won a Gold Glove, surprisingly. Because before that, he was not the best fielder, but he improved the heck of a lot, and won a freaking Gold Glove. But I think, of course, the Pirates, he had injuries. The Pirates were loaded with a bunch of outfield talent in their minor league system, and unfortunately, he got lost in the shuffle. Ever since then, he's been playing more so journeyman. I don't know if any other clubs will give him any other opportunities, but he's 34 years old. He is someone I can maybe see hanging it up soon. But, he's had his successes, so, they still could, grab him for his experience. And then we have this guy, Luke Voit, who, again, I always seem to become fans of the big power hitters. And when he had that 22 homer season in the 60-game short 2020 season, again, I'm just like, oh man, if only he can get a shot with a full 162-game season, stay healthy, he can hit a good 40, 50 homers. Heck, when I have RBI 21 for the Switch, I trade him to the Pirates. And he had 47 home runs in a full year in my franchise mode I played. But unfortunately, it's not been a good season for Luke Voit. Again, ever since that season, he's been hampered by injuries. His production's been decent when he's healthy, but not the best. Of course, he lost his starting job to Anthony Rizzo with the Yankees. He was traded to the Padres, had an injury, but when he was healthy, he did okay with the Padres as their designated hitter. Of course, he got caught up in the midst of the Juan Soto deal last fall, when Eric Hosmer was supposed to go over to the Nationals, but he declined that. So instead, they sent Voit instead. The Nationals, though, chose not to stick with him. He became a free agent. He went to the Brewers. He beat out not long time, but the more reliable and the one they no longer, Keston Wera. He beat him out for a spot on the Major League roster and re-signed a brand new deal with the Brewers. And unfortunately, things did not go well. He was released. He then signed a new deal with the Mets. But then back on August 3rd, he chose to exercise his opt-out clause. And then, of course, because he only hit 221 earlier this season. And then with AAA Syracuse for the Mets, he hit 264 with 14 home runs. Of course, he's still fed, though, a good 26.8% clip in Syracuse, which is a clear red flag, which has always been a part of this struggle. Again, he peaked for sure from 2018 to 2020, but then again, his injuries started to derail him, and he just has not been quite the same since. Of course, other clubs now have to determine whether Voigt's production in Syracuse makes him, a shot to even give him a major contract. He obviously still has some power, but the strikeout rates are definitely going to hurt him. We'll see, of course, if that gives him another opportunity. Again, he might be done. Or he could be like Rougned Odor. He could end up going somewhere else, maybe. Which is a bummer, because like I said, I definitely became a fan of his, because again, power hitters always impress me. I don't know why. Again, I get joy out of seeing a ball hit far. That's just who I am. But I do wish Luke Voit the best. Hopefully he gets another opportunity in the Major League Club. Actually, I take it back. When I said that one's sad, this one's a little more sad. Trey Mancini. Trey Mancini, who just a year ago was the runner-up, I think it was a year ago, was the runner-up in the State Farm Home Run Derby in his return year after beating colon cancer. This is sad. So, Trey Mancini was traded to the Houston Astros, and then he became a free agent. And he signed a deal with the Cubs, who are still in the race, I believe, when I see. Then, of course, when they acquired Jeimer Candelario, I believe he was placed for the Marlins. The Cubs needed to make some space on their roster, and unfortunately, the person they chose was Trey Mancini. And on August 3rd, he got claimed on waivers, and he became a free agent. He had signed a 2-year deal back in January, and then he hit just 234 with 4 homers through 263 plate appearances, and he struck out 29.7% of his at-bats, the highest rate in his career. And then, of course, he had gone on like a career run. He was a great like right-handed power bat outfielder for the Orioles. He had hit a career high 35 home runs in 2019, and then of course missed 2020 due to his colon cancer diagnosis. He returned, and then of course in the first half of the season 2021 hit 260, but then of course in August last year he was dealt to the Astros, and he slumped with the Astros, hitting just 176, 186 play appearances. He didn't play much of a role in the playoffs, but he was a part of the Astros World Series winning team, which again was probably one of the only things that made me happy for the Houston Astros. The fact that Trey Mancini, who beat cancer, got to come back and win the World Series. Unfortunately, the Orioles are probably having one of their best years in a long time this year. They're contending. Unfortunately, though, there really isn't any room for him to return to the club. But of course, it would be nice. He's due though $2.2 million through season's end and $7 million next year, and the Cubs will be on the hook for that money. I'm pretty sure, though, again, of all these guys, Trey Mancini, Jonathan Schoop too. Trey Mancini, though, is probably the one who's most likely going to get another shot. He's, again, he's only 31 years old. It may have just been a thing where the Cubs just weren't the team for him. But I think he still has stuff on the offer on the table for a ball club. It could be a good power hitting bat for a first baseman, outfield, maybe even designated hitter as well, since that's universal now. But I think Trey is the person most likely on this list that will get another opportunity with a major league club. It again just didn't work out with the Cubs, unfortunately. So I do again wish Trey Mancini the very best. This is a name I hadn't heard for a while. This next one. Stephen Piscotty, who apparently was in the minor league system for the White Sox this season. He was released back on August 10th. He's 32 years old. He had signed with the Giants in February, received an invite to spring training. But despite a strong showing, he was sent to AAA towards the end of spring. And he requested his release not long before opening day. And he signed another minor league deal with the White Sox, and he went to AAA Charlotte. He unfortunately didn't light up the minor leagues, as he only hit .232 in 51 games. Of course, he is a former Cardinal who was selected in the first round of the 2012 draft as one of the compensation picks they received after they lost Albert Pujols. And then he made his major debut in 2015, hit a .305 in 63 games. And he also got some votes for the Rookie of the Year award. He was promising enough in his first two seasons that he had earned a 6-year contract, $33.75 million, that would keep him under contract until 2022 with a club option for 2023. However, though, he struggled at the play his third season. The Cardinals traded him to the Athletics the following winter. He had a bounce-back season, hitting a career-high 27 homers then, however, it was all short-lived in 2019 as he was plagued with injuries. And, of course, his struggles just continued, and injuries continued to take a toll on his body. And, he continued to basically fall off. The Reds had also taken a shot at Piscotty. But, of course, he never got past AAA. And now, of course, he's available for clubs that might need some outfield depth in the AAA lineup. Of course, teams may take a shot at him because of his experience. They may not. This is one I definitely am not sure if this guy's going to get much of an opportunity again. Honestly, I completely forgot about him until I was looking at, the list on like MLB trade rumors. I completely forgot that Stephen Piscotty existed. But there still could be something out there for him. We'll just have to wait and see. And finally, the Washington Nationals released Franmil Reyes back on August 12th. Bummer, because, again, he definitely was one of my favorite power guys a couple years ago. And then from 2018 to 2021, he had hit 92 homers in about 1,500 plate appearances. He definitely was quite the monster at the plate. And, of course, that was with the Padres and the Indians. But then, though, the past two seasons, he's just he's just broken down offensively. He struggled so much in the first half of 2022, the Guardians designated Voit Simon in early August. Then the Cubs would claim him off waivers. The Cubs, though, opted to outright Reyes off their roster after the season, and then he landed in Kansas City on a minor deal this year. After just a 186 and 65 appearances to the Royals, he was designated for Simon back in May. He signed with the Nationals, didn't do any better. Hit just 219. Now, Reyes, though, again, is only 28 years old. But if he doesn't pick it up soon, I can see him being like the like an Aristides Aquino or like a few other guys, or a Waldemar Valentine, like some big power guys that, well, I mean, they did consistently, have, like, Reyes had a few years with good power. But guys like Valentine and a few others that, or even like Eric Thames too, like at first didn't work out. Aristides Aquino didn't work out for Major League Baseball. They went somewhere else. They came back. Franmil Reyes may have to do that at this point, I feel like. He's a guy, when he's on a roll, he is one of the most dangerous hitters in the game. And again, he's only 28 years old. He can definitely still offer something to any teams. But, of course, if he can get his power stroke back, maybe he just needs the right guy. Again, in the retirements, we'll talk about Jose Bautista. Jose Bautista had one person change one little motion in his swing. And after that, even though he was basically just a pull hitter, he was unstoppable at the plate. And I feel like Franmil Reyes can be that unstoppable power guy at the plate if he can get his swing back and get back on track. Hopefully it happens. If not in Major League Baseball, I'm sure it'll happen elsewhere for him. And guys, that's my thoughts on the 8 releases I want to talk about since last month. Again, there's been a few more, but all of them have at least signed new deals with new clubs. So we will talk about those when we get to the transactions. We still got injuries and retirements also on top of the transactions. So guys, what are your thoughts about all of these releases? Again, the one I see still getting a Major League opportunity for sure is Trey Mancini. Again, Jonathan Schoop maybe. I don't know about Stephen Piscotty or Corey Dickerson or Luke Voit. And again, some of these guys may be going elsewhere, like outside of Major League Baseball. But we will see what happens over time. Of course, some of them might be waiting until 2024. But again, we'll see. But guys, those are my thoughts on those releases. What are your guys' thoughts on those releases? Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure as always to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 1993. I'm sorry, the Club of the Man 93 on Twitter. And also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that's just not an opinion. That is a fact of life. Yeah!